Welcome to Wellbeing in Action. Sejam bem-vindos. Today, I've got my family here with me, not only Steve, but I've got our son James and our daughter Julia, and we're going to be talking to you about some of our traditions, or actually some of our ways, how it is in England, how it is in Brazil, and talking about the differences of the culture in our own culture, in our house. So, welcome, guys.
Well remembered that you got James and Julia with us. And you even
not only Steve, I said.
Yeah,
not
you
only
remembered
Steve.
their names. No one told you their names, did they? They told you. Say hello, you two.
Hello, you two.
Yeah, well done. Okay, great enthusiasm. Anyway, listen. First things first. Friday, it was your cousin's Richard's birthday, and today is
Granddad's birthday.
Granddad's birthday. So, first of all, we got some cakes to say happy birthday. Your mum's not going to join in.
I would just join in for a kind of a little toast and happy birthday, Dad.
There we go. So we're going to say happy birthday, and also to everyone in England whose birthdays we've missed over the last 3 years, happy birthday to all of you. Happy Christmas, happy Easter, happy Hanukkah, and happy Day of Satanism as well, if that's your bag. Yeah. Oh, and Happy New Year as well. We forgot about that one.
Well, how are we feeling about then as you fill up your mouths with full of food, and we will have to take a little bit longer to talk about it.
We can feel the chemicals rushing through our bloods of these Brazilian cakes.
We will, we'll be talking a little bit about our experiences. So I've had my childhood and grew up in Brazil, went to England after we had married, and James was 1 year and 4 months old and Julia was only 3 weeks old. So the day we left Brazil, James and Julia were born. So they are born Brazilians, so they are actually Brazilians in their first passport photo. Julia had 6 days of life, so she was only a baby.
Do you remember that, Julia?
Very well. Like it happened yesterday.
And James's first passport photo, he was actually 3 months when we first went to England. It was the first time you've met your English family, your grandparents.
And do you remember that?
That one I remember. Like it was yesterday as well.
Very good. Listen, so Granddad's birthday today. You guys had it. What can you tell us about? What was one of your favourite birthdays as a kid growing up?
One that I remember the best was I think it was 13th, 14th birthday.
Yeah.
At home in Canterbury, I would always invite Tim over.
Yes.
And we would always have Chinese and play the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And this I remember birthday in particular because Mum put sparklers on the cake. And she took the sparkler off the cake, I think while it was still lit, and placed it on the table. And our table in Canterbury always had the burn mark.
You had the burn mark on there.
Yeah.
So and do you remember, Julia, you went to Uncle Mike and Auntie Sally's house and you drew a penis on their table?
You actually drew a volcano,
I don't
Julia.
think I was trying. Very hard.
They always remember that. Say, look, they never cleaned it off. They always left the mark there.
Yeah.
An artist. Mind.
Well, one thing we got to say is Chinese food. Oh my goodness, you can't get it here.
No, not whatever the menu it is that we can get in England is certainly something that we all miss.
There was a specific Chinese menu created for English palates in England. So what we believed was Chinese food was nothing to what food was to the Chinese, but
still
that's not important. The Chinese food is the stuff that went in my belly, and that's
stuff.
the only thing that matters.
But we do in England. People always often ask me, they say, what do you eat in England? They say that to me all the time.
Babies.
And because here there's more of a fixed meal, and there's something that people will eat daily here, and there's something more padrão, as they say. But
standard.
in England, there is like fixed meal, but it was weird in the sense that it's kind of like specific meals for each day of the week. If you've got some really traditional people that will do a Sunday roast and a fish and chips on Friday and things like that, but inside of each family in England, you will have their own kind of routines and these things that included takeouts, we have many different fast food restaurants that come from a lot of immigration in England. So we have a lot of things that will different cultural food, and the way that just blends into the weekly palate of English people.
We certainly do, don't we? You have a lot more variety in England than we do here, because the standard here is rice and beans. Sorry, it's not just rice and beans. It's also beans and rice. They mix it up a little bit, but oh my goodness, I am not a fan of the rice and beans here at all. But I know you are, James.
I was a big fan. It's the basic standard food here in Brazil. But when I used to come here on holidays, it would be always, arrive in Guarulhos, we'll stop in a frango assado or grau and get chicken on the stick, the espetinho de frango. And then as soon as we arrive, normally it was at the rancho or somewhere else, and always the first thing I would have is a mountain of rice and beans with some meat and full fat sugary guanana drink.
Well, at least it would help you clear out the digestive tract after this. That was very useful. And Julia used to come here and just go mad and crazy on the fruit.
Yeah, because it's funny how you said it. As much variety as we do have in England, it really is very specific to England. Like even the cultural food is like created to that English palate, and all of our fruits and things are all so incredibly specific. And I feel here there is there's much more variety in the sense that when they do have it, people are more authentic to it, so you can find a little bit more authentic restaurants and things like that. But these fruits as well, it was a weird thing for us in the sense of talking to our friends about it in England like that, how there would just be fruit on the streets and these fresh fruits, and here it's actually quite uncommon to find a lot of imported fruits, and that in England all of our fruits were imported, and
they come from Brazil with the stickers on it.
Most of the time.
Came from Brazil.
I remember coming here to Brazil and Mum sending me to go out and buy bananas, and then I'm getting very confused because there isn't just bananas. You've got all the different types of things. I know
if I don't specify to my employees what type of banana to get, they'll come back with all sorts of things.
And I remember Mum always tells the story of when we moved to England, and it's you went to see the child doctor. I forgot the name of them, but Mum asked them also like what fruits can you give them and things, and the guy said anything at the supermarket. He said, but what about the bananas and things? What banana can I give them? And the guy
the
saying,
yellow ones.
What do you mean bananas plural? There is a banana. It's the banana. There's no different types.
I was just thinking of that because growing up in Brazil, we learned there are certain types of banana that you should avoid. Give it to very young children, especially if they are just first of the whining, starting the food. And there was something interesting because when I asked I think it was either the health visitor or the pediatrician, what do you mean any type of banana?
So listen, on the day of birthdays, did you have a favourite food that we could get you for your birthday back in England?
Not that I can remember specifically. My mum always used to.
It's me.
Always used to make panqueca.
Yes.
Pancakes.
The panqueca, the Brazilian style with bolognese
Yes, I understand, but this is in English.
It is, but it's important because it's funny how even pancakes can be different. Where you go, something so basic can be so different. I saw someone online say these days how people can say that every single country and every single history is so different, but every single point in history somebody put meat into bread and called it a dumpling. And I thought that's quite funny, just to show these things, you know. And it comes across with pancakes as well, because I always like to explain to people that carnival in England, we don't have carnival, we have pancake day. And I just think it's a really beautiful way to show like the stark differences between English culture and Brazilian culture, because here you'll have a big party and huge celebrations and beautiful
get your
culture.
bikinis out
And
and start shaking.
And in England, we make pancakes, and I just think,
That's it.
I
That's a
just
pancake.
think,
Happy days.
But it's really funny, and you know, and even when you get to that point, you have to then explain what pancakes we eat in England and what is a pancake to British people and things
I've
like
had
that.
to explain to students and things, because they always ask, here in Brazil, holidays are the big things. But holidays as in more of the American style, because obviously in England with the English, holiday is both vacations and a holiday. What I
it's
mean
actually
is
only holiday, because we won't say the holidays, it's Christmas time.
It's Christmas, or it's the bank holidays is our example, which is not the same. It's very kind of formal and like very regulated and things.
Here
in
there
England
seems to be a religious holiday every other week.
but that's it.
Some
It's a
say
big,
doing something.
it's the big thing of the culture here. So when my students ask me like, how do the holidays work in England, I was like, well, it's all pre-arranged each year, and it's always on a Monday or a Friday. It's never on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and because it's interesting. It's like, but what about like Independence Day and things like that? And I said, what do you mean?
Everyone else celebrates their
Everyone's
independence
independent
from us. We're not independent from anybody.
The most celebrated holiday around the world that isn't religious or New Year's and things is independence from the British. So it is.
You know, we should adopt all of that. We can have a holiday
every day.
I think it's at least almost twice a week around the world. I think it's something like that. There is a country that is celebrating independence from England. So I'm telling them we don't have this kind of celebration. The only time there's a special holiday and things is when the Queen passed away. Well, we weren't even in England for it. We were there, I think, for the weddings they do on the royal weddings, the jubilees and things like
now,
that.
when I was a boy, 1977, I was 6. It was the Queen's silver 25th Jubilee, and I remember at the front of our house we actually had a street party, and all the neighbourhood kids and family came together and we did something. The next one was Charles and Diana's. There was the local shop down the road, and in the car park it closed off and we had games and cakes and things. And then for the rest of them, it's like, whatever, because that was enough. But, okay, James, favourite meals from England, what types of things do you miss? Or favourite restaurants as well, especially in Canterbury?
Canterbury had a lot. And, I was fortunate enough to go back to England this year after COVID and things, and it's incredible to see the differences. I was worried I wasn't going to recognise Canterbury because so much has changed after COVID, but it's what's amazing to see is one of our good friends, but also one of the best restaurants in Canterbury becoming so successful and doing so well. David.
Hi David, hi Marina. Go on, shout out to everybody.
The Café du Soleil is one of the best. We used to love going there. I was fortunate enough to work there as well. So
excuse me, I have to stand up for David and say one of the best.
The best.
There we go. Let's get it right.
No, but Dad and Mum, well, everyone actually here will tell you, I used to love the rump steak burger at Soleil, and for me it wasn't called. I'm not good with names, so I would always give a special name to things and stuff. Be it people, it'd be a characteristic of the person. But at Soleil, it was Dave's Burger.
Because oh my goodness, and it was so boring because everywhere we would go, you'd go in there and you'd say, let's have it. What are you going to have, James? I'm going to have the rump steak burger. You won't like it, James. It's all right. You're going to compare it to David's burger. I won't. Okay, and then along came the burger and like, it's not as good as David's.
It's not that the burger was bad. It's not that I disliked the burger. It's just, it's not the same. And it's something that's just stuck with me to this day here in Brazil. There are some amazing places, especially here in Piedra, that does the burgers very well. But
Danny,
I still end up comparing it to the David's burger.
What do you specifically miss in terms of eatings and eating out in England?
I miss I will call it tapas, even though it's not Spanish, but I like the little taste of the differences. So I love my salads, and I used to love going able to
in
get
Sainsbury's and picking up all of the different ranges.
And the field peppers and the bean salads. So there's little pots with lots of little different tastes, and I used to love having that variety.
There's one really silly thing that I miss, and it's Pasilipo in Canterbury.
Yes.
And the reason I miss it for two. Number one is, like Julie was saying, although there are some styles, it's in more recent years, the restaurants becoming more and more authentic.
Yeah.
And so in Pasilipo, they were doing the authentic style Italian pizzas. And they were so good, but oh my goodness, were they so good. And the thing that I really miss is being able to get a pizza at lunchtime.
Yes, true.
You can't get pizzas at lunchtime
You know
here,
what
that's it.
Very few
What this actually reminds me, and I was thinking, what is about eating out that was so nice in England, and definitely what we did, and I think is something that Julia have been able to accomplish in the cafe. With every restaurant there was an ambience, there was an environment so we used to go because we would see our favorite people as well, so there was a nice interaction with the waitresses, the managers that were around. There was also, for us, it was a way to get there. There was a kind of our favorite corner table, and people would remember that and would make it very special every time we came in. There would always be, oh, you guys are back, so let me give you this little. So we always felt that was part of our day, routine, life, not necessarily family, but it was.
I think one of the things that is the hardest when people compare culturally between England and Brazil is that they don't understand how much just the basic tiny things in life can differ, being as much as like when you get up in the morning and things like that, and that feeling. And so, because what you say with this whole thing of like entering a place and people knowing you, and that they have that here, but it's not the same in the sense that in England, for example, everything in the town centre was accessible by walking, and in fact it was only accessible by foot. So it was more of an event because you get up and you get dressed, you put your coat on, you go, you walking, and it's cold, and when you get there it's warm, and the people kind of get to you in that way, and here that is the event that people don't have. It's that build up to things.
It's true.
So it's even like getting out. It's getting out of the door from the beginning that can be harder for British people coming from a cultural sense, because we really enjoy that whole. In England, we really find walking and public transport and public access. We find that very important, and we find that very important in our well-being. You know, it's something that as a country, as a community, when these things are lacking, people complain and people say we need more biking access, we need more walking access, more pavement and things like that. So when that is so important to us and in what reminds us of good memories and things like that, it's that contrast here that you don't have, you know.
It's something I said to Viv, because we went to England together, so we were going every day, we would be walking and things. We walked so much in England. And it would always be, we'd wake up in the morning, we'll have breakfast, we'll go out, we'll walk somewhere, go see something, do something, always around 11 o'clock to midday. 1 o'clock we would go to a pub, have some food, but connect up to the Wi-Fi as well, because it was so nice not to have the phone contract and things as well. So we were really just living in the moment, but we would go to connect up to Wi-Fi to plan our next place and things, but always go for a pint as well, which I miss. Is something were lacking here. So we did it at the weekend recently. Viv and I and you. We went around the corner from where we live is a bar that's there. It's not the same type of feeling though, because it's not a nice walk.
It's not, is it? Because everything here is much more spread out.
Yeah.
And there's a heck of a lot less spontaneity. So like Julie was saying, you could just walk out your front door, you'd walk, you'd see, you go, you make it up as you go along, you bump into someone, someone's house is over there, something, and by the end of the day, you've had a day and you've made it up and you've just really enjoyed. Whereas
like
here,
little events.
Whereas here, you have to, it's get in the car, it's drive an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it's to see the same people and eat the same bloody things and come home again.
But that's the difference, you know, and it's one thing that I understand here in Brazil is these car trips and these car journeys and things like that. That is what we love. That is part of our culture, you know, getting in the car all together as your friends.
That's here, isn't it?
Here, that's the thing. So when people say to me a lot, because I get it a lot, they say, what do you like more? What do you love more? What do you miss more? And in comparison to my parents, and something that James relates to me a lot with, is that me and James are actually the only ones in the family that are of both cultures, that actually grew up with a mix of both. And so when people ask me what is 100% British culture, I say to them, you know, I don't actually know what it's like to live 100% Englishly, because we never did.
It's hard because it's another thing I have seen online when they ask people in the UK, like who do they identify as, like, because obviously the UK is a countries of countries, isn't it? You've got England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. So in each place they asked in like London and the big cities, London, Manchester and things, who do they identify as, like English or British? And most of them said British. When you go outside of these bigger cities, more where we grew up and things, and you ask the people there, who do you feel? They would more say English. And it's the same in Scotland. You go to Glasgow, Edinburgh and things, the people in there would say, oh, I'm British. And then outside of these places, they would more say that they're Scottish and things. So it's hard, because I'd say the British culture, what's incredible about the British culture, you go to London and things, and London I wouldn't say is an English city. It's a real multicultural city. You walk down one street and Chinatown, it's all Chinese, and you hear more Chinese languages.
That was interesting. John Cleese got into trouble for saying that kind of things, that London's not British anymore. But you can't take that in a negative way.
No, I'm not saying it negatively. I think it's actually wonderful.
But
it's
I don't
amazing.
think that London isn't British. I don't think that's what we're saying. I think London is incredibly British. But what makes London London is the multicultural. You take that out of London, it's lost.
It's what the British.
That's what makes it. That's
James
what makes
was
it British.
Making a point that I would like you to finish, James, because you actually saying that you don't necessarily identify with English or British. How is that for you? How is that interpretation?
What was hard is for me. Obviously, I was the last one here to come to Brazil, because I was still at university and things. And obviously during that time it's all COVID and things, so life for everybody was pretty hard. But what was especially hard for me, being in Canterbury and on my own as well, I had some very good friends in the house still, but it wasn't the same, because Canterbury went from being a place that I recognise and would call home, because we had our home there, our house there, the whole family and things, to then it feeling strange. So I didn't really feel like I was at home in England, and I was also the first one out of us as well to move to Brazil, but this was when I was 18, because I tried to live here and I didn't feel like I was home there. So I was very worried to come back to Brazil, because I was feeling like I didn't have a home anywhere
Didn't
anymore.
belong.
Doesn't matter.
I
if
understand what you're saying, because
Go on,
I
Richard.
went through the same type of thing. I was 18, 19, and honestly, everybody had left Hastings, and I was left in the house.
Yeah.
And in the summers, I would be in this house alone, and everyone had gone. School friends where I wasn't at school anymore. Coming back from university where Brighton wasn't really home. Hastings didn't really feel like home because I was working with a group of people, seasonal, and then you just wonder, well, yeah, where do I belong? So I get that.
Julie, it's something I've spoken with Ju. Because it's something that she said, and it's something I experienced only a little and things. Very fortunate, but we are Brazilian, even though you look at us and we don't see it. It's the main thing that gets pointed out to us, but this is the point that I'm making
accent.
Is in England, especially during and after Brexit and things, it was the only time I've had people make comments about me being Brazilian. It's the only time, and it's the only time I started to feel not necessarily, okay, maybe I'm not 100% welcomed here anymore. It was odd occasions, rare occasions, but it would happen. I know Julia has stories like it as well. But what's hard here in Brazil is that people don't accept that I am Brazilian as well.
It's not very
take away the charm.
I know it's not very multicultural here.
But the thing is, I don't particularly want people to accept that I'm Brazilian, nor people to accept that I'm English. I really.
You're a ninja.
I think the best of both worlds is just understanding that we are not Brazilian or English, in the sense that we are both, you know.
Don't say that, because you're going to get the police around arresting you, and you're going to be shipped off to Venezuela somewhere.
Because you were talking about birthday parties and things like that, and our memories, and there is no, for me, specific English memory and Brazilian memory. When we grew up in England and had our birthday parties, Mum would make us brigadeiros, and we would do these things, and we would do
Mr. Kinchi's.
And we do this
until recently it was a ham and cheese toasty. I always thought it was a Mr. Kinchi because of
someone only pointed out these days to me in the cafe that toasty is spelt incorrectly. Because I've never had to write toasty in my life. I've never had a toasty before. It's always been a Mr. Kinchi.
You know, guys, I would like just to say that it's just so lovely hearing you. And I remember it was only after returning to Brazil that you were asked this question, and made me reflect, what about our home life that is very English or very Brazilian? Because James just pointed out that very well. We've made home wherever we were. We worked very well as a unit, as four, and it wasn't something that just happened. Although it does happen naturally,
it was easy as well.
No, but that your dad and I, Steve and I, we've always worked consciously or making sure that we were spending time with you. It was always a pleasure to have that time. So
at the same time, you say consciously, but at the same time, you know, I don't think it's something that you have to pay much attention to. You know, you just bring who you are into what this is, and that's what it creates.
I think the conscious effort
Yeah.
was to make, I don't know if you all remember that, but we did Wednesdays the game night.
Yeah. We had that.
And we had
2
after
for
you
1
were
Tuesdays.
2-for-1 pizzas and
Tim used to come over as well. Tim is very much, I think, part of the family now.
He's almost like our third child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tim.
Hello, Tim.
Tim.
Where's my Christmas present?
Okay.
Tim would always come over and things as well. So he talks about it a lot as well, our family and the way that we did things. I mean, I think Tim, we can almost call him Brazilian as well.
Oh, definitely.
How much he loves the culture, learning the language, coming here to Brazil and things with us, and really getting involved. But it's something I think even Julia will say he's always been at home. So it's just someone that we know. A lot of that, we talk about the English culture and the food stuff and things. Tim's parents would.
Well, let's
Traditionally,
let's bring up family, because there is family that we miss, and of course, isn't there?
Yeah.
Nannies. We're gonna say hello to Nanny. Always a big part. My goodness, did she spoil you? Growing up with your nanny, right, at Christmas time would always complain about the amount of presents you two would get. Look at that, these big parts, and I'd say, yeah, Mum, they're all from you. So what you do?
Something I will say about Nanny though is that please can you look at your messages when I send you on WhatsApp. You always say, oh James, you know, you can always send me messages, you can always call me, and when I do, I never hear anything back or shit. So please,
he worries,
if
Nanny.
you're watching,
He wants
take
to know
a look
you're not
at your
dribbling in the
messages
corner that you've got your messages.
And then, of course, we would have that big party every year at either Nanny's house or over at our cousin Lita's house or at Auntie Stella's house, where we'd all get together. And
I was
such a
thinking
variety.
about that. What everyone in your family would so much understand what we're saying, because they were all multicultural. They also had, parent from one culture, mother from a different one, upbringing in one culture, and have that identity. It is lovely because it gave you the opportunity to meet so many people, to have actually so many different interactions. And
what Julia and I have talked about before, we always found it very funny that all of your friends in England, most of them weren't English.
I don't remember a single English friend that you
Sally, only
made.
Sally.
No, but that you
that
made.
I've made. That was something that I've made through that.
Exactly, that you went out
it'd be
and
obviously
made.
work colleagues and
That
things.
yes, I did have some
But,
work on,
but
but
that's
out. No, you are right. I think I didn't
Well, even
necessarily
Catherine was
through work.
no, okay, but Catherine was what was she?
Chinese.
Chinese.
Yeah.
as well.
No, but
Yeah.
it was Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still China, mate.
Yeah.
So very interesting that.
It's
Don't go
complicated.
down that route.
We know
complicated.
he's our historic.
He's reclaiming
Historian.
it. He's back on the old Empire days now. I'm having that one back. Thank you.
But you guys always made it very interesting in that sense that you are being brought up in a different culture or at home doing things differently, but still having your own ways of doing things.
And I think something important to say, also quite ironically in a podcast about these kinds of things, is that I really don't think that I have anything to teach people in this I think it's important that people understand that different cultures and that different blends of people exist, but especially coming from my perspective, of running an English cafe and things like that, people have a very high expectation of me to teach them and to instruct them and to show them and for me to be the representation of what an English person is. And I say to them, that's absolutely terrible. Yeah, I say that's terrible, because what I am representing to you, what I am bringing to you through this is a beautiful depiction of what a cafe is like in England, the types of food, the types of drinks, the decoration, the ambience, the vibes and things like that. But what I wasn't trying to do with this cafe was specifically say what my life is like and that is what and people come in with this expectation and
our life or your life is better than
exactly. I get that
There's a lot of
I get
expectation here.
I've actually had to have a few serious conversations sometimes with clients, in a sense, things that put me in very uncomfortable positions, because I've had one specifically. One time a client came up to me because he was moving to England, and he kind of came in because he wanted me to just reassure what he was trying to say, in the sense that he'd probably heard what I was going to tell him from everybody else, but he just thought, oh, she's British, she's going to understand. And he comes in and tells me all his motives for moving to England and everything that he's doing, and I actually had to sit with him and say, good luck, because actually look a little bit more into the reality of things and what you're doing and things like that. People don't want me, and I don't want to say in the same sense, people don't want me to say one is better than the other. They just want to kind of,
but they always ask,
prove their own point in a sense. They want to prove that either Brazil is better, or that English people will say that English people are better. And I don't think that's the point.
No,
it's not the point.
We had it on Friday. You turn up there and they say, "Oh, you're from here. Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Why are you here? Which is better?"
Yes.
Well,
and then one that you always, for me, Brazil can be confusing culturally because the people here are very passionate. They love Brazil. At the same time, they hate Brazil. it's very it's almost like being in a kind of an abusive relationship sometimes as well. But
there's a lot of pride in this country. There is a lot, and I feel it too. I have a lot of pride being a Brazilian and things like that. But I think, in a country, especially very different from England, that was affected by colonialism and has that very vast blend of communities. You have Amazonian tribes, and you have the African communities, and you'll have German and Italian and things like that. I think there is a lot of defending what Brazil is.
Earlier
even
20th century migration and things here. So Brazil was, again, comparing the difference between England and Brazil. In London, again, we would say it's a multicultural city, but there is still a good division between you know exactly if this is like Pakistani, if it's West African, if it's North African, if it's Southern African, and things like it's all very obvious when you walk in and things. Whereas here in Brazil, it's very hard because more in the south, I believe, I've never been, but from what I've been told is they are very proud of the German or the Austrian or Italian heritage. So it's very obvious to tell they're there. But you head more Sao Paulo and you head more towards the northeastern parts of Brazil, and everybody is all together, all mixed. It's hard to say if this person necessarily is an indigenous or if they're African origin, or if it's very incredible to see. And there was
one thing from what you're saying that we can notice as well is that there are some differences that are intrinsic, that were there, probably affected by so many points as what we inherited or like colonialism and everything. But one thing that was very interesting from the upbringing point, especially the way that we bring children up in an English culture and a Brazilian culture compared. The English culture, you always, from school, starts in school already, you expect it to be very autonomous, not necessarily independent, but autonomous, meaning you are expected to be getting dressed on your own by the age of 4, so at home we would encourage you to make your breakfast, to prepare your things. And in Brazilian culture, that's not necessarily an expectation. So people will and are very surprised when they see how autonomous and then independent you two were. And Julia, from the age of 19, literally running her own cafe, and you coming to Brazil at the age of 18 to live on your own, and then staying in England throughout the pandemic on your own.
It's crazy because there's when I came here when I was 18 and things, the few months before I had gone to New York on my own.
Did your trip?
For the weekend, I traveled there, and when I was telling people here in Brazil that, they said, "Oh my goodness, that's so crazy! Like it's so dangerous and things. Like why did you do that?" You can be
dead in your street.
But
no, I'm not. I'm still here.
But they forget that I have just moved from England to Brazil in a culture I thought I understood, but I had only seen in holidays and things, which is very different to actually living in a culture. Traveling to a place and seeing the culture and living in the culture is very different, but I also didn't speak the language. However, me going to New York is very crazy and dangerous and things, but not moving.
That's an important thing as well, I think you're saying, because it brings up the fact that now, at one point I did get very upset with all of these comments and people talking and things that I hear often and every day. But nowadays, it doesn't make me upset anymore, because it's exactly what you said. As much as people can't see things from our perspective, I can't see things from their perspective. I might be Brazilian, but I didn't grow up in Brazil. I didn't grow up in Piracicaba specifically. You know, I didn't grow up in this bubble. And there really is a bubble here. And I think you have to understand, and it's very important, that a lot of these things come from ignorance, and not in a sense of wanting to be, but in the sense of
haven't had an opportunity
to. And when we grew up, a quarter of my class in England was always from different countries. We had a lot of these different things. We knew that if people's names were difficult, you pronounce them, you ask them. We knew that you don't ask people, why are you here in England?
Mm-hmm. And it's something.
One example of this, that a comment that really used to upset me, but now it just makes me think, okay, that's a bit silly, is I used to explain to people that I was Brazilian, born in Brazil, half English, the whole works, and then they would say, welcome to my country. And I used to think in my head, wow, gosh, I did not realize that I did not have the owner of Brazil, the owner of Piracicaba standing in front of me in the cafe to greet me, But at the same sense, I just think people don't know how to deal with these things. People don't know how to respond. People find it interesting, and they don't know, because there is no guidebook on how to lead with these things, unless you've just been grown. I wouldn't even think in England to say welcome to England, welcome to my country. not even to a tourist, because we're so surrounded by different languages all the time in England that it's like white noise to us. We don't even pay attention.
Well, moving on and talking about white things and holidays and stuff. Coming up soon is going to be Christmas.
Yay!
Hey, well,
we love Christmas.
Your mum loves Christmas, and she specifically loves the English Christmas, but she grew up here loving the Brazilian Christmas.
Yes.
Hands up, who actually likes Christmas in Brazil?
I do.
I think what we like is our Christmas.
It's not that we don't
Christmas.
like Christmas, is that we have to accept and get used to the fact that Christmas
but it's
is
not
different.
Christmas. Come on,
it's
36 degrees.
It's not Christmas.
And you're in your shorts and you're sweating. You're sweating into your Christmas meal. That ain't Christmas.
It's not Christmas for you, but like we said, Mum grew up here, and for the millions of Brazilians,
like Turkey. We're talking about proper Christmas.
Millions of Brazilians that live here in Brazil.
Yes,
that is Christmas.
But let's talk about you guys, okay? So you grew up experiencing English Christmas. James, tell us about what specifically do you love about Christmas in England?
For me, the low sun in the sky,
dark nights,
dark
afternoons,
cold, the cold weather, but then also our own traditions and things that we would have. No matter how much I complained during the time on the 24th, but going to see the pantomime.
Canterbury pantomime, fantastic.
But
10 years on the trot, we went.
We did.
We had our traditions, and we were very rigid in our traditions.
I'm talking about that now, recently, because I'm building the Christmas menu right now for the cafe, and I'd like to do some quite traditional English food that I never even attempt to cook in my life, and
it's things we take advantage.
Like
we don't even realise we'll miss it when we're gone.
You know the history of the things growing up in the culture. You just know the history. But I was researching again these days just to understand fully. And you know, English Christmas is, you can say, thousands of years old. It is so old and so deep rooted in
Well, it won't be
tradition.
more than 2,000 years.
No, but it can be, because you have the Anglo-Saxons and things like that
That's
as well.
not nowhere near 2000.
I don't know, but you have these, like, you have these really, really old traditions and that are deep rooted. And you can say for this one, incredibly British. You know, even other cultures that come in to England and other, you will see even families of other religions adopting Christmas in an unreligious way because of just how deep rooted the tradition of it is now. And
okay, come on,
that's what is
the idea. These cold days, all of the lights, walking out and putting your coat on, seeing the
smoke in the air, isn't it?
Yeah, the smell of fires on there, and popping into people's houses.
Yes.
See, that doesn't happen here. You don't pop into someone's house.
Well, you
true.
can't when there's a 10-foot wall with electric fence on the top,
It's
not very well.
It's still not this idea of popping into people's houses. You don't do that. Everything has to be arranged and organised and planned.
Very interesting.
And then just walking in and being inside and sharing meals and foods and stuff like that. And of course, a huge difference in England is that the whole 2-week period is built around what's on TV.
Yes.
And even Nanny still gets the Radio Times and marks off all the different shows and when she's going to watch them. And here, no one cares because it's the middle of summer, it's hot, and what are you doing indoors watching TV? We're at the pool having a great time.
We can see it now. I mean, the Christmas decorations in some of the decoration stores here in Piracicaba, they put up Christmas stuff at the end of August. They had Christmas stuff up for sale, and it's very interesting to see because obviously here in Brazil and around the world, we grow up with the Western movies, which will show an American or an English Christmas.
Home Alone.
So it's all the cold weather,
White.
snow,
White
big houses with
Well,
the
and
lights
here you got Santa Claus sweating behind his fake beard because they put that. Also, they put that fake snow down, but it's not snow. It's just a roll of material.
But that's
or
it,
something.
because you buy all the Christmas decorations here and all the Christmas stuff, and you buy the fake snow, and you buy a Christmas tree and it's covered in white flakes. And
Talking
things.
about the Christmas decoration, we had a tradition as well at home that was born riding
the Christmas tree down the stairs.
Well, yeah, there was that one, and there's the
Julia
Christmas
and I fighting
decorations.
to ride down
The Christmas decorations that we get one every year. And last year we found Santa Claus in a combi, driving a combi and a Fusca, so he got very Brazilian.
VW bus and a VW Beetle.
One thing that I wanted to say is that some of these traditions were passed on. So some of the early years that we spent in England, at Christmas time was around your mom's house, so Nanny's house, and some of those traditions we acquired from that time. We had
like what?
With them. Oh, the way that she decorates the house. I certainly did that, and I looked at to be an inspiration to me. The cards, when I explained to Brazilians that we decorated the whole house.
People hanging up 20, 30, 50, 100 Christmas cards. Nobody sends Christmas cards.
No, but I love that.
At school.
Yeah.
You'd do it when before primary school, during primary school. We'd used to buy the cheap cards and things.
Write to
the 30 cent
friends.
cards, and then we have to write for everybody
Go
in your
around
class
and giving
things,
it to them. And then there were some traditions that were passed on through my side of the family, the Brazil. And even when we were in England, for a while we did the 24th of December celebration, as the Brazilians did. So our house did that.
Yeah, see,
and
that's
then we
another
did
thing
the
that's here.
25th.
Christmas is midnight on the 24th. Midnight on the 24th.
Well,
so on the
25th.
So on the 25th, the morning, no, there's no presents. There's nothing. It's just like whatever. What we do today, another barbecue.
Thing.
But there is one thing that is better that I really like, and that's New Year's Eve. New Year's
Brazilian
Eve here. New Year's Eve, when it's 30 degrees at night.
Yeah.
And you're out, you're partying, and you've got the barbecue going. And our new tradition now is at midnight, jump into the swimming pool.
Yeah, there's no sea near us, so we do this swimming pool.
Yeah. But come on, the best New Year's Eve. Do you remember when we were at Rio de Janeiro, 2012 to 2013? You remember that?
Oh, right, guys.
I'm watching all the fireworks go off.
I'll tell you what I will do. I will challenge you all to think of a word to describe your experience as a Brazilian, and a word to describe your experience as English, British. So I will give you this time, as I am just about to say, we're coming up to the end of this show. That's been
wait,
lovely.
there's something before we get on to
But
that.
I remember
we have brought in these because another thing that I miss. Sausage rolls. Sausage rolls. And
I try to make them.
Getting those little savoury snacks. These ones are the best sort of equivalent. Called coxinhas or
soft shells.
Or
they are.
Well, that's what it translates into.
No, it's thighs.
It's thighs. It's like
isn't coxinha the shell? Oh no, that's concha.
Yeah, that's coxa as in thighs. So they used to actually have a chicken thigh covered with
bits and pieces.
With this, so this is why it's got this shape.
It was the first thing I did when I went.
This one is
It's like
potato. What that stuffing is?
It's potato.
It's potato, is it?
Potato.
With this one's got mozzarella and broccoli.
Traditionally, they would have chicken, and it's potato.
Dried meat.
Potato with, that's why it's coxinha de frango, the chicken one. As you enjoying your coxinha and thinking about your Brazilian experience, one word to describe it, and your English experience, one word to describe it, I would like to thank you all for having been part of these last couple of months Wellbeing in action, and actually to say that we're stopping this for a little while, and to thank James, Julia, and also Steve for being part of this experience. It's been fantastic to have a chance to have this conversation amongst ourselves, to be able to show a little bit of people at home what we're like.
Canal de Piracicaba.
Obrigada pelo Canal de Piracicaba. Thank you, Canal de Piracicaba, for the opportunity to do that. And maybe we do another one just before Christmas, but I would like your words. So
okay. England.
Yeah.
Traditional.
Oh yes, definitely.
Which mixed up in history and things. So traditional. Brazil. Hot.
Great. The t-shirt weather. I love that description you've always given.
I don't know
the weather.
Yeah, shorts all the way. Hot.
James?
Well, mine was going to be hot and cold.
Hot and cold.
But you can guess which is which.
Julia?
Mine is just blended. There is, for me, I really can't divide. In my brain there is no division. So
that's lovely because you just grew up.
I really did.
And that's something honestly we never did. We never made that separation.
No.
This is that and this is
that. No, we never did it.
It's all just.
I like to think that it's English. Definitely excitement, because it was such an exciting time for me, and I must say, and I agree with Julia, this time is excitement as well, being in Brazil. I've always looked at hot and cold, and I love that description. He always called Brazil as the t-shirt weather country, and it's amazing. And James, thank you for what you've said, because I think home is where we actually are and stand together, and this is it. So
it's something more recent as well. Is home used to be just well, it is still family and things, but for me as well with Viv, it's helped to feel more like home and things, because the first coming here to Brazil when I did move, even then it didn't feel like we were at home, because we were just here in Brazil as a family, which is lovely and things. But
Perhaps the word you want is settled.
Yeah,
Yes.
finding, doing things with Viv and going out and exploring not only Piracicaba but this region of Brazil and going to other
Yeah.
places and things and seeing friends and family of not just our friends and family but making new friends and friends are the family you pick, aren't they? So making new families and things as well has been wonderful.
I
Fantastic.
think it's
Lovely.
been for all of us, though. So thank you
Cool.
very much, guys.
Any final thoughts? You want to say hello to Julia?
I've said hello to her many a time.
Very good.
Well, we
All
say
right.
hello to Julia this time.
Thanks, everyone. Hi to Will. Hi to Eva, David, Marina, Cuftanator. We got to add in there
Cam.
Cameron, Andy, Lisa.
Yes.
Who else, Dan, have we got to say hello to?
Celine.
Celine, yes.
Marco.
It was your birthday as well on
It's gonna be
Tu- on
you will.
Tuesday.
Yeah, you will be.
Let's say hello to Chris and Sarah and everyone up in Manchester. We say it to
Lita.
Kevin. No, not Lita and Kevin. That's a weird
No,
mix.
Kevin
But it's
and Vero.
Vero and Kevin. All the aunts and uncles. Dad, Kate, Richard, and Richard. That gets everyone. And then
Lita.
Lita and Sarah and Matthew and
Yeah.
Frank and
Oh,
Jenny and
we'll miss
Nani.
someone, and it's gonna be sad.
no, I was
but-
holding out Nani to last because I was going to also add in and Stella and Jose
Yeah.
and Grandpa Pete and then of course to Nani.
Yeah.
You old person.
Look at your WhatsApp.
Yeah, look at your WhatsApp. Okay, bye bye.
Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday.